Hello and what's up guys. Today's video is about a shocking warning from former President Olusegun Obasanjo that has got Nigerians talking everywhere, from beer parlors to social media to political circles. His words were very direct. If Nigeria does not tackle the problem of population growth, then by 2050 Boko Haram will be child's play. That's not something you hear every day. When a man who has ruled this country and seen it all says this, you know it is serious. So in this video, we are going to break down exactly what Obasanjo said, why he said it, and what it means for the future of Nigeria. We will look at population, security, education, leadership, and even how other countries handle similar problems. Stay tuned because this one is loaded. On September 30, 2025, Obasanjo was in Sokoto State for the grand opening of the Bakhita ICT Centre at the Catholic Secretariat. It was meant to be a happy event celebrating education and technology, but Obasanjo used the platform to drop a heavy truth. He told the audience that Nigeria's population, currently around 220 million, could double to about 400 million by the year 2050. He explained that if the government and leaders do not prepare now, the crisis that will follow will make Boko Haram look small. Let that sink in. Boko Haram, which has killed thousands, displaced millions, and terrorized the country for more than a decade, will be considered child's play compared to what is coming. Now, some people may ask, why is population such a big issue? After all, more people can mean more workers, more innovation, and more power on the global stage. But here is the problem. Population without planning is like pouring water into a leak bucket. Right now in Nigeria, we already struggle with food shortages, poor healthcare, and unemployment. Prices of basic items like garri, rice, and yam keep rising. Youth are hustling in the street, looking for jobs that are simply not available. If we double our population in 25 years without creating enough schools, hospitals, industries, and farms, the result will be chaos. Obasanjo explained that we are already facing the signs today. Farmers are facing bandit attack, herders farmer clashes, floods destroying crops. The unemployment rate is over 33%, with millions of graduates without jobs. If nothing changes, this number will double or triple. And when young people are hungry, angry, and jobless, insecurity is guaranteed. That is why Obasanjo linked population growth directly to insecurity. Let's not forget how Boko Haram started. The group began as a small religious movement in the northeast, but grew into one of the deadliest insurgencies in Africa. Since 2009, they have bombed churches, mosques, schools, markets. Thousands of families have been displaced and entire communities destroyed. The 2014 kidnapping of Chibok schoolgirls became a global story. More than 200 schoolgirls were taken, and until today, some have not been returned. Boko Haram thrived in areas where poverty and lack of education were already a problem. Now, Obasanjo is saying that if Nigeria does not prepare for 400 million people, what we will face will be bigger than Boko Haram. We are talking about hunger riots, youth militias, large-scale banditry, and widespread unrest. Basically, the country could be sitting on a time bomb. One of the strongest points Obasanjo made is that education is the only way forward. He said, and I quote, "No matter our religion, tribe, culture, or language, we cannot develop our full potential without education." Right now, Nigeria has 24 million children out of school. Think about that, 24 million. That is more than the entire population of Lagos and Abuja combined. These children are not learning, they are on the street, and they are vulnerable. Obasanjo described them as a recruiting ground for future insurgencies. He is not wrong. Groups like Boko Haram, which literally means Western education is forbidden, take advantage of children who have no schools to attend and no future to look forward to. Compare this with Rwanda. After the genocide in 1994, Rwanda was in ruins, but they invested heavily in schools, technology, and skills training. Today, Rwanda is one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. If Rwanda could rise from genocide, what excuse does Nigeria have? At the event, Obasanjo praised the new Bakhita ICT Centre created by Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka. The center will teach computer literacy, coding, software development, data science, and engineering. It is open to everyone, no matter your tribe, religion, or gender. This is the type of initiative Obasanjo wants Nigeria to multiply. He also praised Are Afe Babalola for supporting the project. For him, practical skills are as important as general knowledge. With digital skills, Nigerian youth can create jobs, not just wait for jobs. Obasanjo also used the opportunity to talk about leadership. He said, Nigeria is not a difficult country to rule if leaders are honest with themselves, with God, and with the people. The statement was a direct shot at our current leaders, especially in the north, whom he accused of failing to plan for the future. He reminded the audience that dishonesty is at the heart of Nigeria's problem. He also said he has been a beneficiary of Nigeria's diversity. Since 1979, he has sought advice from elders across the country, north, south, east, and west. His point is that Nigeria's diversity is a blessing, not a curse, if managed properly. The Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammadu Said Abubakar III, was present at the event and thanked Obasanjo for speaking the truth. He urged Nigerians to unite and tackle insecurity together. Sokoto Governor Ahmed Aliyu, represented by his chief of staff, also promised that the state government will keep supporting education and technology. Obasanjo praised the governor for managing the state well. So clearly, Obasanjo's words were not just an attack, they were a call to action. Let's put Nigeria in a global context. The United Nations projects that by 2050, Nigeria will be the third most populous country in the world after India and China. India is already dealing with over 1.4 billion people, but they invested in education, agriculture, and manufacturing to absorb the population. China, on the other hand, even used strict family planning policies in the past to manage their numbers. Nigeria has not done either. Instead, we are relying on oil money, which is no longer enough. Agriculture is underdeveloped, manufacturing is weak, and education is neglected. If this continues, the future looks bleak. Obasanjo's warning is not just about numbers. It is about whether we want to prepare or ignore the problem. He said we must resist outside voices that try to misrepresent Nigeria. He believes that if we combine good governance, education, and unity, Nigeria can still rise to become one of the top nations in the world. But the clock is ticking. With 2050 just 25 years away, the question is, are our leaders planning? Are they investing in schools, in agriculture, in jobs, in healthcare? Or are they only focused on politics and power? To wrap this up, Obasanjo's message is very clear. If we do not plan for our growing population, the insecurity of today will be nothing compared to what is coming. But if we act now by investing in education, jobs, and honest leadership, Nigeria can still have a bright future. So, Nigerians, what do you think? Do you agree with Obasanjo that Boko Haram will look like child's play if nothing is done? Or do you think he is exaggerating? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And as always, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more updates. Thanks for watching.
And we have to also consider what I call population management. We must grow according to the size of our resources. If responsibility and liability is greater than your finances, you cannot grow. You become stretched. So at macro level, the country has to grow based on its resources. At micro level, in your family, in your house, you must grow according to the size of your resources. You have 10,000 naira in a month, and you're giving birth to 10, 20 children. You are not growing according to the size of your income. So family size must grow according to the size of resources. So that, because family have to take care of the family, the children first, before the government do their parts. Because population is not an automatic resource. It's just a potential resource. You have to harness it. One of my friends said, oh, what about China? China, they have population. And I said, China didn't become what they are just by adding population. They added valuable population. You are not going to add a population that is a liability and expect the economy to grow. But when you are adding skillful population, that is when the economy will grow as a result of such addition. So the question is, what kind of population are we adding? Are we preparing the population to become valuable to the economy? Look at the issue of the children begging on the streets. This is not acceptable. If we have to develop in northern Nigeria, we must stop this madness. Because there is no way you can give birth to a child of 4 years old and you throw him on the street and say, go and beg for money, for food. This is inhuman. Instead of sending your child to beg on the street, you come out and beg on the street. Parents should come out on the street and beg for food and then take the food to their children at home. But children must be kept at home. Because when you send children on the street begging for food, because of the stress, the exposure, the hazards, they will not even have the mental stability and growth to even absorb or grasp the knowledge. Because first in the morning they hunt for breakfast, afternoon they hunt for lunch, even in the lunch they hunt for, they become like birds, they become like animals. And these are the future that we are talking about. And this is not Islamic to send children under the age of 10 asking them to go and beg for food. You have to provide for them. There is no any city in northern Nigeria that does not have school where these children can be stayed, can be put in where they are and land there.
Why is the north of Nigeria poorer than the south of Nigeria? So, poverty, as we all know, is a global issue, is a global phenomenon. Most countries, especially developing countries, are suffering from the problem of poverty, which has a whole lot. But then, as it is a global phenomenon, it is also a national phenomenon here in Nigeria. That is poverty across the regions of the country. But then, poverty in the north of Nigeria is more pronounced than the south of Nigeria. According to a recent statistics released by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, there are 133 million people living in poverty in Nigeria, and the north alone accounts for 86.2 million, which is equivalent to about 65% of the total number of poor people, while the south accounts for about 46.9%, which is equivalent to 35% of the total people living with poverty in Nigeria. So here in this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons, I think that's in my own personal opinion, why the north of Nigeria is more poorer than the south of Nigeria. And number 1 is the subsistence level of agriculture in the northern region. As we all know, the north of Nigeria accounts for about 70% of the total land mass in the country, which implies that there is more arable land in the region. So definitely agriculture is the dominant industry in the region, but then it is treated more as a traditional occupation rather than a business. So what the kind of agriculture that is being practiced is mainly at that subsistence level. There is less innovation, there is less use of modern technique and precision agriculture, and there is less yield. So if there is less yield, definitely there will be less revenue that is accrued to the region in that regard, and so that will affect the number of people that are being lifted out of poverty in the region. And number 2 reason I will give for this, in my own opinion, is lack of value addition. That is the lack of storage facilities in the region. Sorry, not storage, I mean processing facilities. You know, it is very, very important to note that value addition has to do with the processing of raw materials into semi-finished or finished goods. So, like in the case of the north of Nigeria, agriculture, which is the dominant sector, is being plagued by the problem of lack of processing. So you see, whereby farmers produce goods and their farm produce, they are usually sold to the other parts of the country in the raw form without adding value. Now, the third reason for the high level of poverty in northern Nigeria is insecurity and political instability. We all know that Nigeria has unfortunately had its own fair share of insurgency, sectarian and ethno-religious crises here and there, and the north of Nigeria has been left to bear much of this burden. For instance, if you are conversant with the history of the north of this country, like from the 80s, there's been the Metasine insurgency and the various religious and ethnic crises that has rocked different parts of the north, like Kaduna riots, the Jos ceaseless riots, the Boko Haram insurgency that has ravaged the northeast and is still not even defeated, and now most recently the menace of banditry that is ravaging the entire region. Almost no state is spared from crisis. Some call it farmers' headers crisis, some call it insurgency or whatever, but the north is under siege with different level of violence. This has been going on for over the years now, and definitely it has affected businesses. It has affected the level of foreign direct investments that comes into the region. So you see, most times when statistics have been declared, you see that the south of Nigeria has more foreign direct investments than the north, which implies less jobs for the region, less revenue, less taxes, and so on. So this has contributed to the high level of poverty in the region. Now, number 4, now, in opinion, the cause of higher level of poverty in the north of this country is socio-cultural factors. For instance, the issue of early marriage and having an uncontrollable number of children is a cultural practice that has been going on for so long in the north. So it is common to see a man with so many wives and so many children. So this unfortunately has contributed to the high level of poverty in the region, because when you don't plan your family, definitely it means you're going to have less resources to cater for too many number of people that you can't even afford to. So that has left the northern region with high level of destitutes, both children, women, as a result of that. Then I think the last but not the least I would like to mention here is lower standard of education and inadequate skills acquisition and development. I think the south of Nigeria, if you want to compare, is more endowed in terms of education and skills development than the north of this country. But then there is a historical account to this. Western education, or what we know as the formal education, was introduced first in the south of the country before it was introduced in the north. But this is not an excuse to say why the north is lagging behind, actually, because the colonialists have left over 50 years ago now. So definitely there's been a number of years for the north to catch up in that regard. But then there's still much that needs to be done. But this is not to say that a lot of the governors in the region and even the federal government has not invested in terms of education in the region, because we have seen beautiful schools and high institutions spreading everywhere. But then one may be tempted to ask, what is the quality of the teachers teaching in this school? So definitely for the north to catch up and get out of the woods, the level of education, the kind of skills, especially tech skills and relevant education, needs to be given proper attention. I think these are my 5 reasons for why the north is poorer than the south of Nigeria. So please like, comment and share. Thank you, and God bless you.